This week on Relics Recovered, we're going to talk about a 10-pound Confederate reed parrot shell. So, get ready. I found this shell in Saltville, Virginia. I was doing some water hunting last August of 2019. There's a ford there, and during the Battle of Saltville, the Union troops crossed that ford. And I guess the Confederates were shelling them, and I went up there hoping to find a couple of bullets or something. I never expected to find something like this, but we had a lot of heavy rains last spring, much like this spring, and I'm sure that moved a lot of silt and sand and whatnot. And this was, I was using the Minelab Equinox 800 with a 6-inch coil, and I got just a banging signal, and I had a mask and snorkel. I went down under the water. It's about 3 feet deep of water, and this was basically right on top of the riverbed. It was just, there was some of it exposed, and a lot of it was still in the silt and the riverbed and whatnot, but I pulled it up. I couldn't believe it. And I was using a liquid image video mask to I took it so hopefully if I found anything good I could record it. And the night before I had taken the SD card out and cleared it off, and forgot to put my card back in it, so I didn't have a memory card in the mask. So I took this up to the truck, walked up there, and because I wouldn't want to lose it, and it's too heavy to carry around with you in the water. And I shot a little video with my phone. I'll put that in this video. But I was so super excited, to say the least. It's a Confederate artillery shell, which I never expected to find. It's only the second artillery shell I've ever found. The other one was also a reed shell. It was actually a parrot shell. Sorry, excuse me. It was a parrot shell. It was a Union shell I found in Northern Virginia, and I had that one disarmed up there by a fellow. And I contacted him shortly after I found this in August. And we were supposed to go up there in November for a group hunt. I asked him if it would be safe to hang on to for that long, and he said, yeah, it'd be fine. Just don't expose it to heat, and don't drop it or bang on it or anything like that. So, well, we didn't have a group hunt in November, and then this virus hit, so we didn't have one this spring. So here I am in May of 2020 with a still live shell, but it laid in the river for over 150 years, so I'm pretty sure it's pretty safe. I keep it in a safe, cool spot here around the house, away from any dangers of any of those things that we talked about not to do to it. But it's still got a lot of incrustation from the river on it. It should clean up really well. But we'll look at a little history on these reed parrot shells and how they came to be. And it still has the brass fuse adapter in it. So needless to say, it was one of my better finds ever. So let's look at a little more history about it. All right, I've been out doing a little water hunting, and I just pulled something awesome out of the river. Check it out, the fuse is still in it. Freaking awesome. Wait till this vehicle goes by. It's gonna be loud. So anyway, it's still got the fuse in it. So it's just basically laying on top of the ground in the water. I can't believe it. All right, I'm going back for some more, hopefully. Okay, here's a little closer view of it. You can see the incrustation, where it's been in the river for so long. But on this side, it's pretty clean. There's the brass fuse adapter. It usually had a timed fuse that would go in there, or a percussion fuse. Here's where this had a sabot on the bottom of it, and with the expansion of the gas in the cannon, it would cause it to spin. Well, we'll read about that in a minute, but anyway, that's basically what the sabot was for. So overall, it's in pretty good shape, and I can't wait to get it restored and cleaned up and drilled out. It'll display really well. Speaking of that history about it, I just pulled this off the good old internet, so hopefully it's good information. But I'll show you the article. I'm not going to leave this up the whole time, but it's from Dr. John Branham Reed. He's the guy that invented these, or came up with this invention to the shell. It says Dr. John B. Reed was a surgeon and projectile inventor from the town and county of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. His public experiments were conducted during a 3-year period before the close of 1859. Most of the experiments with projectiles and their sabots were at his own expense. Reed's first patented invention was the improved mode of constructing projectiles for cannons that he patented on October 28, 1856. And it's got the patent number 15,999. Basically, his patent states, the nature of my invention consists in the attachment to the butt of elongated cannon shot or shells of a cup cylinder of wrought iron fastened to the body of the shot or shell by having its perforated bottom embedded in the cast iron or other metal of which the shot may be composed, with its sides, while its sides project beyond and are so thinned down as to be capable of such expansion by the charge of the gun on firing as to fit its bore exactly, thus saving windage in all cases and imparting rotary motion for projectiles while rifle grooves or their equivalents are employed, thus securing by the striking the projectile upon its apex the important advantage of using percussion shells. So in a nutshell, he made it spin and would hit nose first, and that way you could put percussion shells in it and it would be more accurate by spinning. But so it's a good design, really. I mean, they found it to work really well and was employed a lot during the war. So that's a look at the artillery shell, the Confederate artillery shell that I found. And I want to give a shout out to Fort Bedford metal detectors. Be sure to check them out, fortbedfordmetaldetectors.com. They've got lots of awesome deals on detectors and detecting equipment, and they have brand new detectors, used detectors. So check them out if you got any needs. Keith Bedford, he's a good guy, and he'll do you right, and real good to work with. And so that's it for this week's episode. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and leave some comments, whatever you think about this shell, or if you found any shells, or if you got any suggestions for anything, leave them down below. But be sure to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.